Yo, what's up? I'ma kick it with the line, y'all know. Yo, Slim, can I kick it like this? Here we go. Well, it's time to make that change. People of the world today are fading. All of us have our ups and downs. You better think about it or you won't be around. What we need is a little bit of love, sent by one from heaven up above. Chicken from tea is simple and plain. This ain't no game, you know what I'm saying? What? Yep, yep. Here we go. Oh, yeah.
Hello, I'm Tommy Meeks, and I would like to welcome you to another edition of It's Time for a Change. Well, it's the holiday season, and I think for the last 3 years at least, maybe 2, but I think it's 3, I've been bringing in my good friend, Mr. Tom Zuba. And this year, he has a new book out. You've been talking about this book for a while, Tom, but it's here.
Yes, I have.
Permission to Mourn.
Yes, it's finally out.
I'm very happy. I haven't had a chance to read. Just gave it to me, but I'm going to read it. We're going to talk about it today. But how you been doing?
Good, good. I can't believe it's been a year since we've done
that's what I was going to say.
show.
I haven't seen you in about a year. But I really appreciate you coming on, and I did want to start this particular part of the show out with. I went on YouTube and I saw your interview when Oprah invited you up to her show.
Right.
And I don't know if I saw that the first time I met you, and I guess I skipped over it. Can you talk about that experience, because that was pretty good?
Oh, it's an unbelievable story. This is the truth. This is the truth. Mm-hmm. It was the fall of 1998. And Oprah was doing what she called Change Your Life TV. It was when she really tried to shift the focus of the show, and she really ventured into spirituality, you know, how to be a better human being.
Right.
And my wife and I were living in Oak Park at the time, and our business was public relations and marketing. Okay. And at that time, it was still kind of doable to get your clients on Oprah's show. So I watched her show every single day. Mm-hmm. And she introduced this author, this guy whose name was Gary Zukav. He wrote this book called The Seat of the Soul. Uh-huh. And she said, next to the Bible, it's the most important book I've ever read. So I ordered it.
Okay.
And I read it, but it's really complex, it's really deep, and I could read maybe 15, 20 minutes a night. Mm-hmm. I finished it right before Christmas. And then on New Year's Day, very, very quickly, my wife died.
Oof, man.
But listen to this, Tommy. When I was in the hospital, and I am not making this up, it was like I could hear the voice of the Holy Spirit saying, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. You are going to tell this story on the Oprah show.
Really?
And I said to my brother Mike, now, my wife is dying in intensive care, but I said to my brother Mike, I just got to tell you, I just keep getting this feeling I'm going to be on Oprah. So Trish dies on New Year's Day, and maybe 2 weeks later, I thought, how am I going to get to Oprah? I need to send Oprah an email. But I thought if I send her one, it'll get lost in the thousands and thousands and thousands.
Because I've done that, and mine got lost.
Exactly, exactly. So I sent one to this author, this guy, Gary Zukav. And I said, I read your book. I picked 2 paragraphs from your book to put on my wife's memorial card. You know, thank you. But as I was writing it, I was hoping, oh, I hope he shows it to Oprah. I hope he shows it to Oprah. So in March, my phone rang, and it was this author, this guy Gary, saying, I got your email, you know, thank you. I couldn't believe it. And on April 15th, never forget it, the phone rang, and the person on the end of the line said, we're doing a local show, people whose lives have been impacted by author Gary Zukav. Would you be interested in being on it? She left a message. So I dialed the number, hello, Harpo Studios. So I hung up really, really quickly because I had to catch my breath. So that's how I got on the show. And the experience was everything you would hope and everything you would imagine it to be. Oprah Winfrey is the real deal. Every single person on her staff treated me with kindness, compassion, generosity, everything you would hope that experience would be like, it was like that and more.
Now, when I first met you, like I said, I think you had mentioned something to me about that, but I didn't see it on YouTube. So just right before a couple weeks ago when I called you to come back on the show, I was going through YouTube and, you know, I said, I'm going to watch this.
Yeah.
It really was nice. And she really let you talk.
She did.
She really let you have your time and space
She did.
to say what you want
and
to
you
say.
know
and I thought
what,
that was great.
You know what's interesting? On her own network, on Sunday mornings, she runs the Best of Oprah. And over the last maybe 6 weeks, she's rerun that show twice.
Really?
It has been on twice, yeah, which is kind of remarkable.
I'm going to look for that.
Yeah. So if folks want to see it, they can go to my website, which is tomzuba.com, and there's a link right there to the piece. It's a great piece.
It really was a good show. Now let's get to Permission to Mourn. Anybody that knows you, they know your story. You can elaborate on it, you know, briefly if you like. But I want to get to this Permission to Mourn.
Okay, I think this is important. This is where I come from. I don't know if you know this, but this is an important piece to the story as well. When I was 6, my little brother died. He died the day after his baptism, when I was 6 years old.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that was my first experience with an intimate death. But then in 1990, which was a long time ago, 1990, some of the viewers probably weren't even born.
Yeah.
But in 1990, my 18-month-old Erin died. She died really suddenly of something called hemolytic uremic syndrome. You know, what is that? After she died, my wife and I kind of clawed our way out of that deep, dark pit of grief, and we had 2 sons, Rory and Sean. And in 1999, on New Year's Day, unbelievably, my wife Trish died very suddenly, very quickly. And my kids were 3 and 7. Fast forward to 2004, Sean is in 4th grade, Rory is 13. Rory goes to school. He was in the academy at West Middle School. He went to school for 2 days. He had a seizure in the evening, rushed him to the emergency room. He was misdiagnosed over and over and over again, but finally diagnosed with a brain tumor, the type of brain cancer that's incurable.
Couldn't operate or anything?
They did operate, but it was one of those that is so aggressive that you can never get it all, and it just keeps
coming back.
Yeah, coming back and coming back. So 6 months after he was diagnosed, on February 22nd of 2005, he died. My son Sean was in 4th grade. So really, I've spent the last 20 years of my life as kind of a student of grief, you know, trying to figure this thing out. Right. Always knowing that there was a book inside of me. I knew I had a lot to say, but I was never really sure how I was going to say it. So really, last year in the fall, I don't know how to explain it, but something shifted inside of me, and this book, it came right out of me. I would get up every morning at 5 in the morning and have a cup of coffee and just write and write and write. And I'm telling you, when I read that now, some of the passages take my breath away, and I think, who wrote this? Some of those pieces I cannot remember writing, actually.
The first chapter says, we dance between both worlds.
Yeah.
That's how you started it.
I wrote this particularly for, it's for anyone who's living with grief. But I had in mind the person that feels like grief is new, that it's really, really fresh. It's the book that I wish someone had handed me, you know, right after Erin died, or after Trish, or after Rory died. So we dance between both worlds. For me, in those first couple weeks, those first couple months after the death, I felt like I had one foot in this world and one foot in the other world. On a lot of different levels. I mean, a part of me wanted to be with them. A part of me was mad, you know, that I was here and they were gone. A part of me could feel their presence in a really, really strong way. I believe that the relationships that we have with the people we love that die are eternal. I really, really believe that.
Believe it.
So what I try to do right now is I try to keep one foot on this earth and one foot on that divine plane, so I'm always connected. And I think it's a dance. You know, we dance between this world and we dance between the other worlds.
You know, you said that. I know when my son Carlos died in 2010, I didn't know what my wife was going to do. There were times she literally said she didn't want to live. You know? I mean, we both took it bad, but I was really worried about her. She had put everything in. You know, that was her baby, her youngest son. She had put everything into. You know, he had a mental illness. He had issues. So, I mean, she put everything into it, and I couldn't say anything. I just had to sit back and watch. Yeah. Because I tried to comfort her the best way I could, but. You know, she's getting better, and then just recently, I told you this, about 3 weeks ago, my father-in-law, her father passed away. And I've seen some of that coming back, but, you know, she's doing pretty good. She's back to work now. And I'm going to definitely, me and her going to sit down, we're going to read this book together. And
read it several times.
Hopefully we'll find some help in it. And because death is something, you know, we do this show around Christmas, the holiday times. A lot of people reflect on people that they love and they miss during holiday times. And, you know, I always ask you, what can you say to people at this time of the year when people really are emotional and they've experienced what we're talking about right now, some death?
Yeah, I think it's really, really important to spend some time thinking about what's the best way for you to take care of you. Right. You know, you're the only one that can take care of you. And it's okay to say yes to things, but it's equally okay to say no to things. You know, if there's a party you don't want to go to, don't go. Yeah. You know, it's like, don't force yourself to do things because you think you should do things. I was just with some friends of mine who their father just died. And they said when they got together for Thanksgiving, nobody really mentioned Dad's name. And that was like, you know, the white elephant in the middle of the room. That was really, really painful. So they said, do you have any ideas or any thoughts about what we could do for Christmas? And I said, none of us want our loved ones to be forgotten. And when nobody mentions their name, we kind of go to the place where, well, you don't care anymore. You know, you've forgotten about Carlos. You're not mentioning him. Right. So what I said, you know, one thing you could do is, and tell people in advance that they have the opportunity to do this if they want, but everyone think of one story about Dad. And after dinner, you know, have little votive candles all over the table. Everybody tell their story, light your candle, so when everyone's done, the table's filled with all this light, have dessert. Yeah. And this is really important. If someone cries, so what? Yeah. You know, when someone dies, the appropriate response is to cry. Yeah. But I think that there are a lot of different ways you can bring the people that you love, you know, into the Christmas celebration, into the traditions.
Man, that's a good point. I do this a lot, but if I were to do something like that with my family and my wife, I'm thinking of my father right now. He's been gone for quite a while, but we really got close toward the end. And he died a little bit after 9/11. Okay. I think October the 3rd. And I'd have to say something that's kind of funny. He had never, you know, my father loved to watch movies. He'd go to the movies and watch a movie. And I got that habit too. I got that from him. I love movies. But I showed him Blazing Saddles. I mean, it had been out for years. I was in college when I first saw it, and I just never thought to show that to him. That man loved that movie so much. I mean, he would call me 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes. He was a security guard toward the end. And he'd be watching like Blazing Saddles or something. If he couldn't sleep the night he didn't have to work, and he'd call me and I'm sorry to wake you up, but I just want to tell you Blazing Saddles is the other. And I go to laugh because I knew he really enjoyed that movie. It was just funny. And that's something I would say about him.
Well, and
he used to love to laugh.
And by sharing that story, you make him real to the younger people in your family, maybe that never met him. And you also teach them that when people that we love die, they're not gone. You know, they're still part of the family. We're not afraid to say their name. We still talk about them. What a great gift to pass on to the next generation.
You know, that's one thing that I do right now. You know, Scott Christensen, the chairman, brought me in to work for Winnebago County. My boss, Dave Peterson. I mentor to young men. And a lot of the men I mentor to, I talk to them about ancestors that they never would know. I showed them, my boss Dave Peterson gave me a video of, it's a video that came on PBS, African Americans, Many Rivers to Cross, and it goes all the way back to slavery, brings it all the way up through President Obama. And I try to get these young guys to look at ancestors that they don't know, but they were there. And I let them know, I said, your ancestors were there, you don't know them. I mean, for hundreds of years, you don't know who they were, but they were there. And you are an extension of them as you sit right here. And I'm trying to get them to take a look at what they're doing now, because a lot of them are in trouble. That with your ancestors, with your grandparents, with your great-great-grandparents want you to be in this situation. And it's working with some of them. But just like you said, we don't really leave if we don't let them leave. The people are always here if we let them be here. And if we can find as much joy in doing that, I think it's a good thing.
It is. And a lot of people think that it's the pain that I feel because someone I love died that keeps me connected to them. So I don't want to let go of that pain. That's not the truth. Let go of the pain. You know, and like when you were talking about your dad, you know, you're happy. That's the connection that we want. Like I said earlier, I believe that we're eternal beings. So I believe that all of those ancestors that you're introducing these guys to, there's a power there.
I believe
that they can tap into. You know, it's like, help me, assist me, guide me.
I did it. I mean, I did it when I found out about, there's an event that I do, me and my wife do every year called Juneteenth. And next year it'll be 25 years we've done it, next June 19th. And it all started when my Aunt Maggie Wright and my Uncle James Wright told me about my grandfather that I never met. And when they told me about that, it just stuck with me. You know, I didn't do it right away, but it was like my grandfather, Escar Rideout, never let any of his kids work on June 19th for anybody. They celebrated that day. And it's just like it got inside of me, and it's been a part of me now, going on 25 years next year, 24 years. And I never met him. He died before I was born, but I feel a part of him is in me. And I carry that with me all the time. And I don't even know him. But he was my grandfather.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that, I think, when we realize that that's possible, that helps us heal.
I think it does.
It absolutely helps us heal. You know, my daughter, my wife, my son, they're very much a part of my everyday life. You know, people talk about, oh, you lost your son. I didn't lose my son. I know where he is. I know exactly where he is, and I feel very, very connected to him.
Well, mine is buried at Sunset, and my grandson plays basketball at, you know, he doesn't go to Harlem, but they have a lot of events at Harlem. And we go up and down Alpine, and my mother gave me a plot right next to my father, and I mean, I could just like look over there and look at where he's buried at. And I mean, I know his body is there, but his spirit, his love, and everything that we have is still with us.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And, let me ask you about another chapter in your book. Let's skip around here. The secret is out.
Oh, the secret is out. This is what I think most people try to do. They do grief what I call the old way. You know, they get up every morning, they shave, they brush their teeth, they put on their nice clothes, they go to work, they hold it together. You know, they pretend that everything is fine. How you doing? Good. How's it going? Great, 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 great.
Right.
They get home, they're by themselves, and they're a mess. They're a mess because all of their feelings and all of their emotions have been repressed, they've been denied, they've been pretended. So people will do whatever they can to numb themselves. Think about all the ways we numb ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
Alcohol, sex, pills, work, television, video games, shopping.
Yeah.
We will do whatever we possibly can to make sure we feel nothing. And we think that there's something special about us that nobody really knows. The secret's out.
Yeah.
You know, I know that that is what most people do. And that just causes pain on top of pain on top of pain. How do I know? Because that's what I did.
Yeah.
That's what I did after my daughter died. And I thought there has got to be a better way to do this.
Do you do lectures?
I do.
How can people find out about some of the lectures that you do?
My website is Tom Zuba, my name, tomzuba.com, and that's kind of, you know, ground zero for getting more information about what I'm doing. I've got a mailing list. There's a way people can subscribe to that mailing list.
I was reading on your, I don't know if it was your Facebook page or your website, a show that we had done. You put it on YouTube, and I don't even think this lady was from this area, but she saw it on YouTube, and she talked about how much she enjoyed our show. I mean, it was really you. I'm sure she was looking at, but it was nice to know that what we talked about on this show and you put on YouTube got around to other people.
Listen, I've got a really active Facebook page, almost 8,000 people from all over the world. So people all over the world have seen the videos of our shows together, which is great.
That is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes me happy.
Me too.
You know, because I tell people, a lot of my fraternity brothers, you know, they ask me, well, what are you doing? You got copies of your show? I just said, well, go on YouTube, put Tommy Meeks in, and then a lot of your shows pop up because my videos come up. Choosing to heal.
It's a choice. It's a choice. When I work with people, so many people are surprised that there's even the possibility of healing, particularly if it's a child that's died. I think so many people say, you know, when your child dies, your life is over. You know, you're counting the days till you're in heaven reunited with them. Listen, we're here for a reason.
Right.
And if you set the intention to heal, and if you work at it, I really, really do believe that we can heal our broken hearts. Now, I think healing, I don't think it's a destination. I think it's a journey.
Right.
I think I will continue to heal my broken heart every single day that I'm alive, you know, until I take my last breath.
Right.
But do I feel as broken and paralyzed and incapacitated as I did 10 years ago? My son will be dead 10 years in February. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, my mission is to heal, and it's something that we have to choose to do. We have to consciously choose to heal.
Mentioning the word healing, our country's been going through a lot lately with Eric Garner, Michael Brown, some of the killings by police. What can you say as a man that deals with grief about what those, you know, a lot of times we get caught up in the political end of it and the racial end of it, you know, white people this, white cops that, black people this, they stole, you know, but it seems like we lose focus on the pain that real people are going through, those family members that lost those loved ones. I don't care what your child does, you still love them. And especially some of the reasons these guys died. Selling loose cigarettes, you had to die. No. Hitting the cop, I don't even think you have to die for that. this kid out in the park in Ohio, I don't know if you saw that one. He had a toy gun, and
yes.
cops rolled up on him. 2 seconds, bam, he shot dead. 12 years. I got a 12-year-old grandson, and in the thought that he'd be doing something stupid in a state that has a right to carry guns, and that's a concealed carry state.
Right.
And within 2 seconds, they ride up and blow him away. I mean, you don't know the families, but what can you say to just people in general that, hey, let's pull it back in here. Let's not try to be at a point where we blame. Let's try to figure out what type of pain is really going on around here that our country is going through, and how can, or do you have an idea how we might be able to heal some of this and make life better?
I think we're losing something here. We're losing respect for life.
Right.
We're devaluing life. And I honestly think it starts with our own life. We don't have enough respect for ourselves. We don't value our own life. And that's why it's so easy for us to just, it's, one kid that was killed, what's the big deal?
Right.
One father, switch the channel. I'm amazed at these families who are able the next day, 2 days later, 3 days later, to be on the news, talking about their child, or talking about their husband, talking about their son. To your point, those of us who are living with the death of a child or living with the death of a spouse see these stories differently, because we know what has been lost. We know the price that these families are paying, not for a couple of days, not for a couple of weeks, for the rest of their life. I agree with you. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. No one should be that disposable. Not in the United States, not in the world. We do not care about other human beings.
Yeah, and we got to get that caring back. I saw a couple, they lost their son through suicide. He was a war veteran. And one senator is holding up some bill that they want passed. And they're, he's a Republican, they're Republicans, but he's holding up their bill. And they were on TV the other night talking about how they want the bill to pass so that maybe other people's children that come home from a war can have the help that they need so that they can get their life back together. And it just seemed like, why don't we really want to do almost everything we can to fix all these problems we're talking about here, the air gardeners, the veterans coming home? As a society, we can do things to help people shape their lives back up so that people can live a decent life in, I think, still the greatest country in the world, but we could do better. And
Tommy, maybe something is shifting. I'm amazed at the number of people, all kinds of people, that are not sitting in their homes, that are taking it to the streets and saying, no more, no more, no more. Maybe a shift is occurring.
I really hope so. I really do, because I'm not much of a marcher, but I see that same shift. I see whites, blacks, Hispanics, young, old people out saying, look, this has to stop. Now, I just want to touch on that. We got about 2 minutes left. How can people get their hands on your book?
A couple different ways. It's available out at Barnes & Noble at the mall, and they can go to Amazon.com and order it in either paperback, or it's also available in an ebook. If they want an autographed copy, they can go to my website and they can purchase one from me. If you're outside of the Rockford area and you're watching this, you could ask any bookstore to order it for you, and they could order it for you.
Okay. Well, Christmas is coming up. You ready for it?
No, I am not ready for it, but it will be here before we know it.
I never am. 25 years of working at Federal Express just takes the air right out of the balloon for me. Christmas is just something that little kids, I see for little children to really enjoy. And I got 12 grandchildren. I might have another one before Christmas. I don't know.
No kidding.
I heard that through the grapevine this might happen a little sooner, so I don't know. But
does your whole family get together?
Pretty much, yeah.
Awesome.
I got a couple grandkids that don't live in the state, but they came home last year, so hopefully we've been doing this the last, I think, 2 or 3 years. Is it 2
It's
years?
at least 3, and it might be 4. My son asked me, how many years have you done that? It's got to be 3
I
or 4.
always think about calling you right around this time of year. I enjoy it, and I appreciate your work. I'm going to read this book, and hopefully to help my wife deal with the loss of her father, Mr. Jesse Sharp.
Absolutely.
It's been tough, but he's a good man. He was a good man. I want to thank you all for joining me and my friend Tom Zuba. Get this book. I think it'll help you. If you buy it, I think you'll find that it will help you. And as usual, I'll see you next time.